Less than a week since the first European round of the 2015 campaign, the Maxis Enduro World Championship moves northwest through the Iberian Peninsula to Portugal. Situated northwest of one of the country's most prominent national parks and in the foothills of its most spectacular mountain ranges, Gouveia is the venue for the third of 7 events this year. The weekend's racing kicked off as ever with the city-based Super Test, this time in the centre of Gouveia itself, and for a second event in succession, Mattia Bellino took the outright fastest time around the 800-metre course, picking up the bonus 9 seconds in E3 for the win. Simone Albergoni took his first Super Test win of the season in E1. Christophe Nambertin struggling with a knee injury that restricted him to 17th and left him 34 seconds to make up. But his fellow countryman Loic Larieux took the lead in E2 ahead of Alex Salvini. The best performing Ho representative was Luis Correa in E3. Danny McCanny moved up from 6th to 5th on the second lap and remained there to finish for a 5th consecutive double-figure championship haul. He finished 44 seconds adrift of 4th. Simone Albergoni was fastest in the Super Test, but that was the only occasion he topped the timesheets through the weekend, and he slipped gradually back from the podium. Lorenzo Santolino took his first podium finish of the season, but was unable to maintain his headline times. After leading at the end of the opening lap, the Italian finished 3rd. Christophe Nambertin was only 4th at the end of the opening lap following a fall and knee injury in the Super Test, but he fought through the pain barrier, gaining positions, in particular through the Enduro tests, to take 2nd. The top 4 riders in E1 were separated by under 10 seconds early on stage 1, but Eero Remes took the eventual win after pulling out an advantage through each of the cross and extreme tests. Contrasting fortunes for the 2 Spanish riders, Lorenzo Santolino making his first podium of 2015 at the expense of retired fellow countryman Cristobal Guerrero. Jaume Petriu matched his best result of 2015 with a 5th position on stage 1. He eventually finished 10 seconds back from Johnny Aubert in 4th. The Frenchman was particularly competitive through the cross test on each lap, but finished some way short of the podium pace on stage 1 and continued his run of 4th position finishes. A 3rd place finish for Pierre-Alexandre Renet dropped him from 2nd to 3rd in the title race overall, as he never looked like making an impression for the win. And his fellow countryman Antoine Mayo was defeated for the first time in 2015. The French rider was involved in the season's closest contest, but he lost out in a grandstand finish. Alex Salvini narrowly managing to maintain an early advantage to take his 12th career win.
I did a really good job on the first lap. I get some gap from the others. And then I did some mistakes on the second cross test, but and then Antoine closed a little bit. At the end, we did the last 2 laps at the limit, and finally I catch the first victory.
The top 3 riders have remained the same all season in E2, but exchanged places again on stage 1. Salvini closing to within 15 points of the championship lead. Agar Leoc started slowly but recovered from 7th at the end of lap 1 to eventually take 5th. Inconsistent this year, Leoc finished over a minute from the podium. Home advantage certainly played its part for Luis Correa, who broke into the top 5 for the first time this season, but dropped some way back from the podium as the day went on. Matti Sestala was never far behind the front two, but the gap gradually grew as the day went on and he finished 18 seconds adrift in third. Mattia Bellino looked set for a fourth win in 5 stages when he took the lead on lap 1, but his advantage was gradually eaten away until he had to settle for second. This contest was always between Bellino and Matthew Phillips, the Frenchman initially 13 seconds ahead with 3 fastest times in the first 4 tests, but Matthew Phillips ended a month-long wait to return to the top of the podium in E3. Cervantes failed to make the top 10 all weekend and now looks set to recover from injury on the sidelines. Phillips, meanwhile, was back to his best. Returning to double-figure scoring after his day 1 retirement, Cristobal Guerrero moved into 5th on lap 3. By then was already over 30 seconds back from the podium in E1. Lorenzo Santolino dropped 17 seconds through the final enduro test and a further 11 through the lap 4 cross test to finish 27 seconds back from the podium in 4th. Danny McCanny won the 4-way scrap for the last podium position, consolidating his place in the championship. He now sits 10 points clear of 4th, but 25 points back from the race for 1st. Eero Remes topped the timesheets in the last 2 cross tests, but by then Christophe Nambertin was long gone, so it was more damage limitation in Portugal, as Remes rode 2nd fastest in 8 of the day's 11 tests for a comfortable 2nd overall. Nambertin was fastest in 9 of the stage's 11 tests as he restored his championship lead with another crushing victory. The Frenchman's advantage was comprised mainly of a 46-second gap in 4 runs through the enduro test. Another day to forget for Marc Bourgeois, who was never on the pace, his fellow countryman Christophe Nambertin taking the win. Loic Clarieux put 3 French riders in the top 5 positions in E2 as he finished an isolated 5th. The Sherco rider improved as the day went on, but was under little pressure for his position after the opening 2 laps. Jaume Betriu put in his best ride of the season for 4th, and at one stage even looked a podium contender.
Keep pushing now. Yes, thanks. Good.
Alex Salvini was fastest through each of the enduro tests, but was inconsistent elsewhere and eventually slipped away from the lead in 3rd. Pierre-Alexandre René started the day slowly and sat only 4th after the opening lap. He gradually improved as the event went on to become Antoine Meo's closest challenger. He had recovered to 2nd by the end of lap 3. A 3-way battle for 1st in E2 was eventually settled by less than 12 seconds in favour of Antoine Meo. The Frenchman built his advantage over the opening 2 laps of the day and then managed the gap for the remainder of the stage. The KTM rider managed only 4 fastest times in 11 tests, and 1 through sheer consistency. Meo continues to dominate with 5 victories from 6 stages this season. Pierre-Alexandre René moves back to 2nd overall. As he and Salvini take points from one another, Meo extends his championship lead. Thomas Oltrati took his best results of the season after recovering from an early 7th position, a definite step in the right direction for the Husqvarna rider. Mattia Bellino failed to add to his 3 victories in 2015, as although he led after the opening test, that was as close as he got to taking the win. A mistake in the last enduro test cost him 19 seconds as he conceded 3rd to Egar Leok, the Estonian putting in a brilliant 4th enduro test to put himself inside the top 3 on an otherwise inconsistent day. Mistake on the 2nd lap cost Matti Sestala 15 seconds and victory as he was otherwise fastest through the day. The Finn ran out of time for a comeback and finished just over a second short of Matthew Phillips. The Australian coming out on top of a two-horse race in E3 after building a buffer on lap 2 and surviving his rival's attacks to make it 2 from 2. The double win moved Phillips to within 12 of the championship lead.
It's really hot again, 43 degrees I think, dusty, bumpy, and the guys were relentless, always on the tail, swapping the test times all day, and before the last test again, only a few seconds, and in the finish I got the win by 1.5 seconds, so really happy for the race and the competition. I mean, it's a World Championship and that's why we're here.
2 retirements in 2 days for Jeremy Tarou drop him to 11th in the overall standings, while his fellow countryman comes under increasing pressure at the top. French representatives maintain their grip on top spot in each of the 3 championship categories. Christophe Nambertin's gap was held at 10 points in Portugal. Antoine Mayo was defeated for the first time in E2. And Matthew Phillips is closing in E3. Plenty to look forward to in Greece next time out.